Hello.
Hello.
It's been a while, but we are back. It is currently the 21st of first quarter. You've now officially been here for 3 weeks. Um, it is the night before your first test. This is basically the first time that you're really gonna have to reckon with what grades are gonna look like here in a school that's a lot different than how you've ever had to study. Um, but right now, this is before the dawn of the final day, and you are dealing with some errands before you have to hunker down and really hit those books. Um, you currently have a meeting with a Mr. Grayson Waldemir. Um, you currently have with you the laminated business card that Motiva gave you for him. Um, and it does technically say where his office would be, um but in the biblioplex, travel is kind of weird. um as you sort of go through it, uh you start getting past the main foyer that has sort of those clean, pristine tiles, beautiful pillars, and you start getting to the point where grass starts to root up. And there's a bit of a fog as you sort of pass by this coiling river. And you reach a very interesting patch of bookshelf where you look like you're going down a stack, and it looks straight, but as you walk, it's abnormally long, and you realize that it has actually been twisting into a little spiral. And as you get to the end of uh, this stack of books, this hallway built of bookshelves, um, you actually find a very small little room. Uh, it's almost like a clearing in the biblioplex. It's sort of this rounded uh, room surrounded by these sort of bookshelves. You can see that there is space over it because the ceiling is miles tall here. Um, but for the sake of describing it, it's a room. And it has a square table on it, probably only really big enough for about 4 people to sit at. Um, but you see on the shelves, it's books, but it's also, it seems like magazines, paper strips. It has things sort of taped to the hard parts of wood. And you actually see a magically moving printing press in the corner. Um, and most importantly, you see a black dog with this sort of long curly coat, elongated proportions, and wearing a sort of fanny pack as a cross-shoulder bag, with a pouch right there on his chest. Um, and you see he's sort of laying in a bed that's to the side of the room. Uh, and you see it go to pick its head up and sort of look at you, but it doesn't seem to say anything to you just yet.
I think Felyn is gonna kind of glance around. If I recall, does Felyn know about the whole dog thing?
See, that's a very interesting thing. I am willing to go either way on you. If you want to say that she knows, then I'll allow it, because I definitely know that Motiva's interacted with Grayson quite a bit, and then Dev also interacted with Grayson. But if you think it would be funnier if she didn't know, feel free.
I think it would be funnier.
I think it would be funnier.
I think Felyn's gonna kind of look around, and then not seeing a person is gonna assume that she should probably just wait.
Mm-hmm.
But she's gonna come in and sort of lean down to the dog and hold out her hand to let it sniff and say hello.
Uh, I love stuff like that. Okay, so I definitely think that he goes to kind of stand up um to its full height, which Borzes are really tall, and you're not that tall, if I recall. This is probably up to your ribs minimum.
Ooh.
Big dog. Maybe even to your chest, because you're really little. How tall are you? Are you 5'6"?
Yes.
Okay, then to your ribs. And you see that he goes to, instead of sniffing your hand, he picks up his foreleg and rests his paw in your hand, and he goes to, for lack of a more delicate way to say it, barks in your face. And then you hear a voice in the back of your head, sort of at the base of your skull, as it reverberates into your mind. Uh, uh, Pleasure to meet you. Are you my 3 o'clock appointment?
I feel like at the beginning of this interaction with this supposed dog, Felyn was just like, "Oh wow, big dog. Oh wow, dog no shake command. Wow." And then she hears the voice, and she kind of just freezes, and she looks at it for a second before shaking her head and saying, yes."
uh, you see that he goes to take his paw, and he nods. And this is when you're starting to really see the amount of intelligence that this dog moves with. Because dogs can be intelligent, but you know how, like, you can tell they're not moving with intention, they're moving, like, because that's, like, the best way to do what they need to do. This dog is moving very delicately and with a lot of intent as he takes his paw, nods, doesn't say anything else to you, and goes over to the table and jumps onto one of the chairs. And immediately starts, like, paws on the table, mouth going to unzip the crossbody bag. And you proceed to see him mage hand out some things from his fanny pack onto the table.
Felyn will kind of stand there for another second, processing before just going to sit across.
Delicious, every time he's going to use message, he has to bark at you. So you're hearing, like, a chorus of, like, barks and, like, roofs as he goes to say, so I heard a little bit about the financial need that you were helping, but I would like to hear in your terms how you think you can make this startup work. And then he goes to sit very politely in, like, the chair, like the chair. So he's, like, sitting like a dog would, but he's this really big dog, like, in a chair. Thank you. I am in love with the idea of characters who are lycanthropes having to go to school while they are animals.
I'm obsessed with this. He's a business dog.
He's a business dog. No time to talk.
Dog with a job.
Dog with a job.
Okay.
He's a working man.
The working man. I think Felyn will kind of nod, try to get her bearings a bit as she gets into the business talk with the dog.
Yes. He will look you straight in your eye while you're talking to him.
Uncanny, thank you.
Yes. Smiley face.
And she will just kind of say, well, and who, I can't remember, who was it that recommended?
Motiva.
Oh, that's right. She will say, well, I am told that holy water could be perhaps a good venture to go into, particularly seeing as I am a priest and I can make it whenever. So I feel it would be easy to give supply. I can't speak too much for how big the demand would be or how to best go about it, which I suppose is why I'm here with you.
He goes to nod his head, and he goes to sort of shuffle around some of the papers in front of him, with his nose looking for a particular thing, and then he goes to slide it over with Mage Hand, and he says, That's about what I heard as well. So I did a little bit of research ahead of time to best help you during this consultation. Um, and unfortunately, unless you are particularly interested in things such as scalping, price gouging, creating a demand, um, it might not in particular be very lucrative. Uh, you said that you are a priest, yes. So I assume that you are saying that you were going to bless it with ceremony.
Yes.
From my research, I'm unsure if this is exactly your situation, but generally I see that you have to use materials to cast ceremony, and that generally tends to be about 25 GPs worth of silver. And the issue comes into play that 25 GP is uh, well, I guess the average shop price currently. So you wouldn't really be getting a profit unless you are trying to upsell. But if you're trying to sell to shops in particular, if they are not also trying to turn a profit, then they are probably not wanting to give you more. They would want to give you less than the 25 gold. So, how much gold are you working with to make this work?
Uh, Fun thinks for a moment.
What's your budget?
Looks through her corn pouch. 12 gold?
No. I was about to recommend maybe buying up the holy water from the shop and then trying to sell it to students, but I doubt that we'll get very far if you can't even buy just one. All right. He shuffles around some more papers. Are there other goods you can perhaps produce?
She thinks for a second. Give me one moment while I look through what I have.
Yes. He's also going to ask you another question, and he's going to say, some people would say that this is not a particularly ethical question, but you are talking to a silver quill. Um, is there a way you can think to make people want your holy water? What would people be willing to spend above shop price, above the baseline, to get holy water made by you?
Ooh. I was gonna think for a second. And say, very uncertainly, uh, perhaps there is an angle about the whole multiverse? Ooh.
I love how you said that. You see he goes to stop, and you see that he's like really thinking, because you can tell, because he like looks away from you and he's like looking at the table. But you obviously, he has no expression because he's a dog, right? Wait. You might be onto something. What's pardon me for being frank. Who are you praying to? Who's your deity of choice?
The Luxon.
And what's their whole wheelhouse? Their shtick? He like waves out paw while he says it.
She kind of looks up, trying to be like, how to summarize? Light, knowledge, magic, space, time, creation.
Okay. You see that he goes and he hops down from the chair and he goes to like bring over more paper, and he sets it down, and of course it has like a little bit of teeth marks, but he was very delicate in it. And he goes to Mage Hand pick up his little quill. And he's going to start like writing out this plan and like drawing little diagrams. They're not particularly like he's not like an artist, but they are like a nice like delicate meticulousness to them. And he is going to tell you this plan that I'm going to tell you because I just came up with this and I think this is a plan that Grayson would recommend. So here's the angle that I think we have. We use the angle that it is light blessed by the Luxon specifically, which is a deity from far away, like the whole like alien angle that the Luxon has, right? Listen, we say that. You make holy water, but you don't sell it in just the flask. Put it in tiny flasks that are decorated and sell it as a good luck charm. And so if we made 5 of those little charms out of one flask, that would have been like 5 GPs worth of silver each, right? Sell them for 6 or 7 GP. And then you won't get a huge profit, but for every 1 holy water you make, that's a profit of at least 5 gold. Depending on how expensive it is you want to decorate them as, of course. Like, obviously, I'm an asshole and I'm going to make you count that shit, but you know what I mean? You could always try to convince people to like it. Like, this is a school. Trends sell like fire. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I love that.
I like it a lot too. And so it would be shifting your focus from trying to sell to the store, which Grayson is like, it just wouldn't work, to trying to sell it to students, which is extremely easy to do here because it's already a self-sustained economy. People already are very big into like buying things from other students or buying things that students make.
Yeah.
And obviously we don't have to do this, but it could also be really interesting if you specifically try to make the holy water look different. Like, you know how people online are doing those like weird mica shake potions?
I was about to say, I feel if I can find something like that.
Yeah! Oh my god, we are so cool. Okay, so I think that this is what Grayson sells to you. And so I think he's like telling you and he's like scribbling down like frantic notes and like drawing little fucking jars. And he's gonna look at you. And he's gonna what do you think Felyn says to this, and how do you think Felyn feels about this? What do you think is her reaction to being told this plan?
I think Felyn kind of came in here having absolutely zero expectations because she's not a business person. She has never been to something like this. Realized she really, really doesn't know anything about business. But now Grayson is spilling all of this out to her from like one throwaway comment she made.
Yeah.
And she's like looking wide-eyed and she clasps her hands in front of her. And she just looks to the dog and says, "You are a genius."
Thank you, but I'm a professional.
You are a genius professional.
He almost looks like he's puffing out his chest a little bit. He gives the air, because you have a good insight, even though this is a dog, and I think that this is something that shows really well when Grayson is a person also. He seems very reactive to praise like that. So he's definitely very much like, yes, I know, I'm so good at my job. And so he is going to look at you and like look at his like papers, which have like some numbers on them. You're not particularly finance oriented, so they would take a bit too long for you to like discern exactly what they're talking about. And he was gonna look and be like, well, unfortunately, if you have only about 14 gold to start with, that's a bit low to get this started up. But I am a very generous person to work with. Obviously, because of the nature of me helping give you this idea, I would appreciate a cut of business. Since there is no business yet, I also am in the unique position to give you a loan to start it up, if you would wish.
Oh my god.
You would need to pay it back with a little bit of interest, but mostly it would just be paying back that and then whatever cut I get from the proceeds generally. So the interest will not be very high. Unless you take like 3 years to pay me back, but it shouldn't take you that long. Not with a plan this foolproof.
Felyn will nod and say, yes, that sounds good. I I really wasn't expecting it to be this seamless. I'm not going to lie.
Uh, he goes to make this sort of wheezing noise, which you're realizing is the sound a dog would make if he could laugh. And as he's sort of like going through his things in his little fanny pack again, he says, oh, please, this is. When I say I'm a professional, I do mean it. The Entrepreneurs Club is all about helping startups such as this and making new startups and finding out what works on Canvas. Uh, this is definitely a song and dance that I have done before. And then as he's sort of doing that, he is going to look at his papers and say, how does a loan of 60 gold sound to you?
Ooh. Hmm. Okay, no, I was starting to try and think of it in my brain. I think Felyn would not think this much about it, and she would just nod and say yes.
Delightful. He's going to write up a little contract for you. If you want to take the time to read it, it's going to be like not confusing legalese, but it's going to be like fully written out, the expectations, and it's going to have both his signature and yours. So if you say that Felyn like sits down and reads all of it, then I can definitely tell you what in detail everything it says. Um, uh, and he would elaborate that the 60 will be for 2 different flasks of holy water that can be split into 10 total charms to start, plus a little bit of gold for materials to decorate it, which is why it's 60 instead of 50. Um, and when he goes to sign, he signs his name with Mage Hand, and it's this very flouncy sort of like Constitution level of script. And then he goes to hand you the quilt.
I do think Felyn would read it, but she will sign.
Delicious. It is basically just saying that like this is a loan specifically for the startup of a business. If he finds out you used the money for something else, then there will be no such loans in the future. It says basically any sales you make for this item, he gets a specific cut. I'm trying to think of what Grayson would ask for or what would be normal because gold conversions suck.
Yeah.
But I think that he would probably say something like 25% of profits. So it's not 25% of everything you win, it's 25% of what you break even with. So if you make a profit of these of just 10 gold, then he would just get like 2, you know? If you want to negotiate that down, feel free to do so if you think Felyn would, but that's what his asking price, I think, is.
I feel like Felyn isn't. She's blindly trusting him in everything he is saying. She's just gonna go with whatever.
I love that so much. Your husband was an accountant. This is extremely funny.
She did not handle the money at all.
No, you did not. That was all Nim, baby. Awesome. I love that. You sign it. He signs it. He goes to really delicately roll it up and put it in a folder. You see him pick off one of the shelves. And he goes to put it back, and he goes to come back to the table, and he hops back up, and he puts his paws on the desk, and he says, all right, was there anything else that you would like to handle in our meeting? Any other money troubles? Any other ideas you want to vet?
I forgot what I was gonna look at. Shit, hang on.
No, that's okay. I'm so sorry. Take your time. I distracted you.
No, it's a worthwhile distraction. I can't think of anything right now. So I think Felyn will think for a moment and shake her head and say, not at the moment, no.
He is going to nod and he says, all right. Since we have ended this meeting with a product that I have endorsed and am now a partner of, you do not have to pay me for the meeting. The consultation is now free. In the spirit of future partnership. And he is going to delicately put down 60 gold pieces in a neat little baggie for you that you can take and add to your inventory.
What?
Again, please feel free to put on your sheet anywhere if you want to keep track of the terms of your agreement. I think interest will probably be like if it takes you like a year to come back or like half a year. So like I think every half year, which is about like 120 days, it'll be a 10% situation.
Gotcha.
Yeah. That also probably would have been in the contract.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, brother. So feel free to do that. I will say on the topic of you selling it, since it'll be a personable thing, I do think that you will have to do like rolls and stuff, and it probably wouldn't be something super fast. We're probably gonna do like a time skip after the next session, so like I will definitely have mechanics for that as well, but it will not always be something where you can make like a big profit at the time. I, however, would love for you to tell me the details of like what you're doing, how you're spending the extra money, how you're flouncing it up, and also how much you're charging and how you're trying to sell it to people, because I think those details will be very fun in figuring out how much money you get from this.
Yes. I'm going to have so much fun with this.
I think it'll be just a fun little project, you know, and you can
Yeah.
draw what they look like because you got artist hands.
Oh my god, I can draw what they look like.
Yeah, so feel free to tell me like your ideas, and I'll tell you what kind of things you can source, what kind of things you can get. There's a lot of materials you can get on Strixhaven because an entire college is dedicated to creating things. Um, So yeah, just keep me posted on that. Um, if there are no more questions you have for Mr. Grayson that are not about business, we can move on to your next thing, which will probably be breezed through. But if you have any like personal questions for Mr. Grayson to see if he answers, you can feel free to ask them.
I do think Felyn is too tempted not to ask, and will ask if he is in this form all the time.
He goes to like roll his eyes, which is really funny because it like his whole nose goes with the action of rolling his eyes. And he goes to tell you, no. Uh, Thankfully, I'm only like this for maybe a couple weeks out of every month or so.
Oh, I see.
Uh, it's I don't blame first years for questions. It's just a bit easier choosing to be like this instead of risking, accidents and the like.
Oh,
Transformations get a
yes.
bit tricky.
This makes sense. Yes. Fuck.
No, you're a-okay.
I think Felyn is gonna hold herself back from asking a bunch of questions about lycanthropy. And is just going to thank Grace and say what a pleasure it was to meet him, and that she will be in contact.
uh, of course. Thank you for your visit and your consideration. And you see as you go to leave, uh, hmm. I think he's gonna hesitate to say something. And hold on, I'm gonna roll to see if he says it.
Yes, Luca. No.
I think he is. I think he's gonna kind of look at you as you're about to go, and he's gonna sort of call out and just be like, hey,
Luca!
oh my God, Luca, what's Luca doing?
She's messing with Frankie.
God, stop, leave Frankie alone. I think that he's gonna tell you to tell Motiva that he says hi.
Mm.
And then he immediately goes over to his bed and curls up. And he is like, okay, that is the end of the conversation, leave.
Do not talk to me.
Don't talk to me anymore.
I will
Go.
not elaborate.
Don't comment. I will not elaborate, and I will bark at you. And do you leave?
Yes.
Nice, you go to leave. It takes a bit of time for you to leave the biblioplex and get back to the doors, but you do so fairly easily. And then you hop on over to the Prismari campus for 2 birds and 1 stone. And you go to... I want to ask you a question about your 2 things. So you want to go find Rowan, and then you also want to go see Rutha. And we've established that you are probably going to stay and talk to Rutha for a little bit. Outside of role-playing, do you think you would like to go... Do you think Felyn would go to Rutha first and then ended up staying for a little bit and then find Rowan later? Or do you think you would find Rowan first and then go to Rutha?
I think she's gonna go to Rutha first.
Mm-hmm.
Because she wants to visit with both of them, but she's going to Rowan with a plan of, like...
Yeah.
If we're gonna talk about, like, fitness stuff, that's gonna be a process.
Oh, 100%. Okay, cool. I definitely think that you can. As I elaborated with at first, you kind of go up to Ruth's door and you knock on the door. She is about as surly as she ever is when she opens the door in her robe. You see the occasional glow or sparkle of her myriad art pieces behind her. And you see now when you show up that she seems almost amused that you're visiting her again. And she takes the wine and invites you inside.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think that it's like it's a situation of it's not like a oh come in, I'll like you know that sort of homely, but it is definitely a situation of like she assumes you want to actually talk to her and you actually do, so it's like she can tell and she's like all right, you know. And I think that's really fun. I will definitely tell you any details that I think about later about that one. And you're sort of there for like an hour or 2. Do you have any of the wine?
I think Felyn will have a glass.
Nice, you can have a
It's
glass.
it's diamond plum wine. You gotta indulge.
You gotta indulge in it. Do you think Felyn is a lightweight, or do you think she can handle like a glass of wine?
That's a good question.
Because okay, people are always like, oh, a beer or a wine doesn't get you drunk, but it can make you tipsy, and so like you wouldn't have disadvantage on things. But I would love for that to be a thing that you think about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Her constitution is a +1.
Okay, pretty good. So maybe like an average, maybe not super lightweight, right?
Probably not. I think she can handle a glass of wine.
Okay, you have like a nice little glass of wine, and you probably sip it pretty slowly. And it sort of reminds you of times when you would have these sorts of talks over wine with Nim in another life, you know, as you sort of have this time together just getting to know each other. Again, if you have any questions about Rutha, feel free to tell me. And I will answer them if she would answer them, or answer them how she would answer them. And after you leave about 2 hours later, you feel pretty good. Today has been an overall win. And since it is not getting dark, because here You really only ever see it dark when you wake up from your trances. But since it's a bit later in the day, you would probably find Rowan actually at the tavern. And so I'll say that you can swing on over there to find her with her two friends, Plink and Avernine. And you can sit with them for a bit and ask Rowan those questions about like her classes and if she'll help you work out.
Ooh, if this is the tavern and her friends are there, Felyn would also like to introduce herself to them and
Delicious.
chat with them if she can.
Yeah. I will show you what they look like. I don't know if I've ever shown you what they look like.
I don't think I know who these people are.
I will find them for you. I have a whole thing for what people in my games look like. Strixhaven art. Actual NPC art. Okay. We have Avernine and then we have Plink. Avernine is the ginger and Plink is the dark-haired girl. You can tell that Avernine is a half-elf and Plink is actually Yuan Ti. You can't really see her scales in this pic group, but she has some black scales on her.
Delightful.
Yes.
How to spell names?
Oh, sorry. Avernine. Plink.
Thank you.
They are both wither blooms.
Ooh.
Yeah, Rowan actually hits it off really well with wither blooms, which is extremely funny. That's a canon fact. Wizards of the Coast said that.
Witherbloom bestie.
Some information about Plink and Avernine that you could glean from them. Avernine is a second year, and no, Plink is a second year. Avernine is a fourth year, so she's actually about to graduate.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I have some information on them if you have questions for them right now.
I think Felyn would ask about like what they're going to college for. What are they interested in doing?
Yeah, so Avernine, her major, give me a second. Because Avernine has like a major and everything. Her color focus is green.
Wow.
Avernine is currently double majoring in ecology and economics if she can manage to get the economics in time this year. She is awesome. I have their information down. She is actually in the intramural gymnastics club with Rionia, which is fun. And also Xanther. And then Plink is a second year, so she doesn't have a major. She doesn't really know what she wants to go into. But she is currently volunteering with the Vampiric Student Union. If you ask her any questions about that, feel free. Actually, I'm just going to tell you this fun fact. Felyn might not know this fun fact, but I think it's incredibly funny. Plink is volunteering there because she really likes vampires. Thanks. Yeah?
I do like the idea of Felyn learning that Plink volunteers and is like, oh, what got you volunteering? And then they're just like...
The other two just start grinning at Plink, and Plink is like, don't look at me. I love these three. They're very fun. Oh, also Avernine is Well, yeah, I'm just gonna say it. She does have a title picked out, a scholar title, which is bow collar.
Which is
And
what?
she's really hoping that she gets it. Bow collar, it is actually, she's actually in student directory, which is very fun, but I'll spell this out for you in DMs. She is a bow collar.
Oh.
You have to be given, basically she'll explain, you have to be given a scholar title, but generally by the time you get one, you have an idea of what kind you would get if you're gonna get one. So she already knows she's gonna be a bow collar. She just hopes that the ceremony, she is gifted one, basically.
Oh.
Yeah. Felyn is a nerd, so I'm assuming she's gonna ask, so I'll just go ahead and tell you what it is. Let me find them. Where are you? And I'm so sorry. Thank you so much. Okay, bow collar is under the discipline of growth, and it's basically a summoner, summoning creatures from the bog.
Ooh.
Or from nature in general. Smiley
Wow.
face. You're learning so much today.
I learned so much today.
Extremely off topic, but I'm already putting it down there. If you are talking about the fitness thing, Rowan would love to help you work out. I think she would give you some pointers, but I think she mostly would actually want to like directly help you. So in free time, you can go work out with Rowan, and she'll help you.
Yay!
Yeah. Sorry I've been talking so much. If you have any questions about any of the information I just gave you, feel free. I've been talking so much.
No, I am fucking marinating in this information. Trying to think if I have questions. I think she's going to ask what their impressions of Grayson are.
Ooh, let me roll to see if they know Grayson. That's fun. Delicious. So, impressions?
Yes.
I'm gonna say this is gonna be kind of given in a vague, sort of like gossipy way, right? But I think that they would both say that like silver quills are kinda, you know, and they're like, you never really know what they're thinking, and like Auvergne is very much like, oh, like they're really skeevy, but then like Plink is like, oh, you just think that because there's a lot of black man students there. Like, they're like fine, but like, I don't know. They act like they're better than us. That sort of vibe. But beside that, about Grayson specifically, they would actually tell you that sometimes Grayson's gossip columns can be really mean.
Oh.
Because he writes the gossip column at the Strixhaven Star.
Furiously writing.
Yes. Sometimes they're really mean, and sometimes like that's the way that the whole school will find out something about somebody, because they're always about somebody. And like I think that they would say that like maybe sometimes it's positive and maybe sometimes it's not that bad, but like that is definitely the most recognizable thing, is they can remember whenever they are really bad, you know? This is also whenever I tell you that he has not been writing for the Strixhaven Star that long. He's been writing for it since he got here, but he's only a second year this year. He's only 1 year above you. So he's the same year as Plink.
Interesting.
Yes. I also think that Plink would probably say something about how lycanthropic students tend to stick to themselves, but like she would just kind of wave a hand and be like, I mean, but so do the vampiric students, so that's not surprising. But he's very open about being a lycanthrope. Uh, no, I don't think any of them would say that. Yeah, I think that's about all the information you get, unless you're asking specific things about him.
I do think Felyn is gonna talk about the meeting she just had.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I think for the most part, she's just gonna kind of sing his praises, I guess. She's gonna ramble on about it, being like, "Oh yes, I've never really done business before, and he really helped me. He had this great idea, 60 gold loan, so on and so forth."
Yeah, 100%. I definitely think whenever you talk about that, I definitely think that like they ease up a little bit on the like. They weren't really talking smack, but you know what I mean. Gossip can
Yeah.
sometimes feel like it is. I think they ease up on it a little bit because I do think that when you say that, like, Avernine is just like, oh yeah, like I've heard that like he's like really good at getting money because he does all of these pop-ups around the school. Entrepreneur Club has like always done that, but like I feel like it's been like really hustling since he got here. So I believe that you'll make it back. I wouldn't sign a contract with a Silver Quill, but I mean like I guess sometimes they have to listen to him, you know. And then Plink's just like that's like their whole thing, and Alverni's like I know.
I love these guys.
Yeah, they're just like besties.
Yeah.
Sorry that they're talking so much. They're definitely a lot more keyed into the school than like Rowan is. That's not really surprising to you or Felyn. Will and Rowan really do stick to themselves, even though Rowan is the more sociable twin. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, this could be a fun little conversation thing. Are they also having tests? Is because everybody has tests at the.
Yes, because this is the first week of real school. Because the last the first 2 weeks are unique to every year where you have to do a specific thing. And it's a specific like assignment or it's like orientation and getting used to things. But now everybody is in like real classes, so all of them have like been a part of classes and have to do their tests tomorrow.
Felyn will ask them what their plans are for their respective tests and assignments.
Yeah. So Avernine would outright say that hers by now are really hard. Um, so she's probably going to start work early on her assignment, which is actually going to be like not like a big project, but it's kind of like a thing that you have to do and turn in. It's not like taking a test on paper. Um, because well, not only is like fourth year stuff a lot more hands on, but like Witherbloom in particular is really hands on work. Um, so I'm probably going to start that one a bit early. Um, Plank is just winging it. And Rowan is in the same class as Will this semester, so they're gonna study together.
Delightful.
Yes, I will have to pick what class that is, but I think it makes sense that they would sometimes go to the same classes.
Yeah.
So those are their plans.
Yeah. Delightful. you.
of course. I like them. I think that they're fun guys.
Fun little guys. Little crew, little squad.
They are a squad. Squad capital S.
And I cannot think of anything else to talk about with them at the moment.
Delicious. I can just say that you get dinner and you have maybe a couple drinks with them, and then you go home. You probably don't get like not drinks like alcoholic drinks, because like you do have to go study and do a test tomorrow. And I think that Felyn would take that very seriously. So I doubt that you did that. But you can like hang out with them a bit before you go back. And then whenever we do the session, it'll basically be like that evening. And we'll do the study and we'll do the test. And then we'll do your day in detention. Which you will share with Will and Rowan.
You.
Okay, awesome. Then I'll stop recording. But that was really fun.
Yeah.